MeMonster.
Chapter 171. Whoosh! Each time I rushed through the trees, the sharp wind slapped against my cheeks. My breath formed white clouds as I exhaled. The forest was lush with greenery, yet the chill was enough to make it feel like winter. Oppa, to the left! Jenna, running atop the branches, shouted from above. As I turned left, a shadow darted away through the bushes. I'll block them from the front. Jenna leapt like a flying squirrel, landing on the branches of the opposite tree before disappearing. Her agility in the trees rivaled that of a monkey. Why were we enduring this hardship? The answer was clear. Floor 41. Mission type: pursuit. Objective: chase and annihilate the remnants. A mission window flickered on the right side of my vision. Floor 41 was an extension of Floor 40, with the goal to pursue and annihilate the remnants of a previous battle. This forest was connected to the plains of Floor 40. Normally, we would have rested after every boss stage, but this time we didn't. I had insisted to anything that we challenge Floor 41 immediately. The first reason was curiosity about what lay beyond Floor 40. The second was that a 4-star promotion was imminent, just one level up to 40. My experience bar was nearly full. Completing this mission would satisfy the conditions for my promotion to 4 stars. It's better to finish up and then rest, rather than stop at an awkward point. I thought it was a breather mission. Personally, I wanted to discuss with Priya and learn about the backstory of Floor 40. But here we were, dropped into this location with a mission to annihilate the remnants. Probably after this mission, I'd have a chance to speak privately with her. I decided to resolve all my accumulated questions then. It won't take long. The bushes were stained red here and there, signs of bleeding. The wounds weren't shallow. There was no need to hurry. The target wouldn't last long. I followed the trail with a dagger in my left hand, held in a reverse grip. Technically, it was a breather mission. The target had been severely injured even before encountering us. We were chasing a half-dead man to finish him off. Jenna was quickly making her way through the forest to the right. Velkist and Kashasha were circling the outskirts, blocking the exit. Katillo had also spread out search magic just in case. There was nowhere for the target to escape. How about it? Do you think you can catch them? Priya's voice echoed in my ears. It seems they were using communication magic at the other camp. Of course, they won't escape. Is it possible to capture them alive? Why? Because the one you are chasing is the only surviving officer from the cult's army. We want to extract information through interrogation. They wanted to interrogate them. Did that mean even Priya didn't know the full story? As you might expect, I came here with the support of the Assanes family to find the last key. Then the cult's army showed up. It's as if they knew. I'm curious. I wonder why they call me a witch, why they hate me and try to stop me so vehemently. I want to know. I'm sorry to ask, but could you do it, Han? I'll try, but I can't promise anything. Thank you. I ended the communication. Capture alive? That wasn't mentioned in the mission. Well, I decided to give it a try. If things went south, I could always finish them off quickly. The trail of blood droplets continued, a murky dark red mixed with dim light. It was visible even from afar, so there was no worry of losing track. Ah! One cult's army soldier, level 23, burst from the bushes. He let out a strange scream as he charged at me. I lightly dodged his spear and plunged my dagger into his neck. Gah! Such a pathetic surprise attack. The soldier clutched his throat and fell sideways. This was how the target's guards often blocked the way, but they were hardly a threat. To think of it, it was strange. If you looked closely at the system messages and objects, an entity called the Goddess was assisting our mission. When a hero died, a message appeared saying they had returned to the embrace of the Goddess, and all the objects in the mission were shaped like statues of hers. But the main enemy in the mission was the cult's army, the very people who worshipped the Goddess. It didn't add up. It was a needless sentiment. All I needed to do was complete my assigned mission. Strange thoughts only served as distractions. I slaughtered the obstructing soldiers and pursued the target. By the time I reached the middle of the forest, I can't take it longer than forever. Jenna's shout comes from beyond the trees. It seems she had caught a big fish on her side. I quickly jumped over the bushes and headed toward her. Over here, Oppa! In a clearing in the dense forest, Jenna was aiming her bow at the target. Silver flash of Versace, level 47. On one side of the clearing stood a knight in shattered armor. The armor, which should have been shining silver, had long lost its luster. Her long platinum hair was clumped together with blood and dirt. 2 arrows were lodged under the left chest. "I've dealt with the lackeys. Did well, didn't I?" Jenna looked back at me and flashed a grin. Near the knight lay soldiers with arrows in their heads. The knight looked at me with emotionless eyes. I sheathed my bloodied dagger and spoke. "Drop your sword and kneel. If you follow orders, I won't kill you." Jenna looked at me as if to ask what I was talking about. "Priya wants us to bring her back alive for interrogation." "Will it even clear the mission?" "It should. The mission system should allow for that much flexibility." "You heard him, sister. Just listen and it won't hurt." He. A bitter smile appeared on the knight's lips. "Why would I listen to a traitor?" "Traitor?" Jenna blinked in surprise. The knight smirked menacingly and muttered, "I won't forgive. Never, never will I forgive. Never, ever will I forgive." What is she talking about? I don't know. In that case, die without knowing. The knight drew her sword and charged. Ping! Jenna pulled her bowstring. The arrowhead pierced the right side of the knight's chest, but still she didn't stop. I stepped firmly on the ground, drew my sword, and slashed long and deep. Pluck! The crimson blood drew an arc. Thud! The knight's body, split in two, fell to the ground. Wow, scary! Did you see her expression just now? Gave me the chills. I looked down at the knight. She lay dead with her eyes open wide. As expected, the capture was a failure. I relayed the news to Priya, who expressed her disappointment but thanked us nonetheless. She's dead. Shortly after, Velkis joined us at the scene and spoke. Is this the end of the aftermath? Yes, it's over. The mission clear should pop up soon. Our bodies were slowly becoming transparent. I cleaned the blood off my blade and sheathed it. Rest well tonight. The promotion to 4-star probably starts tomorrow. A lot will change.
Once this mission was completed, Jenna, Velkis, and I would all reach level 40. The reason I attempted the new mission, the 41st floor, instead of going to the 39th or 38th floor, was to level up at the same time. The seal will be lifted, huh? How do we get it? Exploration dungeons are the standard, but there are many other ways. I'll walk you through them gradually. I'm sorry to say this to Gishasha, but I don't want to turn into an animal. She was a special case. Usually, an engraving is an extension of skills, maybe like a set of similar types of skills tied together. A few extra stats and bonuses are attached. Then, Kishasha and Katillo also arrived at the clearing. Katillo closed the knight's eyes with a somber expression. Stage clear. Han, 3 stars. Level up. Reward, 10,000 gold. MVP, Jenna, 3 stars. There are heroes awaiting promotion among the Master's heroes. If the materials are collected, combine them with the promotion stone and retrieve the fragments of forgotten memories. Promotion-eligible heroes: Han, 3 stars. Jenna, 3 stars. Velkis, 3 stars. Kips, 4-star is a very important grade that determines the future of heroes. Heroes need the Master's attention. Please take good care of them. When the light faded, we were back in the rift of time and space. It was late evening. Except for those dedicated to training, it was time for everyone else to be sprawling out and sleeping in their quarters. I issued the disband order to my members. Traitor, huh? Looking back now, there are more than a few suspicious aspects in Pick Me Up. Too many to count on both hands. Indeed, my being summoned here was nonsensical from the start. Item synthesis begins. Selected materials: fire element stone, water element stone, wind element stone, intermediate promotion stone, intermediate soul stone. Completed item: advanced promotion stone. Success probability 54%. Synthesis method automatic. Anything was fully engaged in the promotion preparations. Pure elemental stones that come at a low probability from daily dungeons, soul stones made by grinding 2-star or higher heroes, and intermediate promotion stones mixed together. It was a formula for creating a 4-star promotion stone. Clang, clang, clang. Fairy power? Fail. Synthesis failure. Materials disappear. Fail. Synthesis failure. Materials disappear. Although failures were frequent, there was a substantial stockpile of materials. At least one promotion stone should be achievable. I headed to the mansion on the 4th floor. The other members had already gone up upon returning, so I was likely the last one. "You've worked hard on the mission." Entering the hall of the mansion, a familiar figure greeted me. It was Nerissa, the acting submaster. She bowed to me once. "Why are you up? It's late." "There's something I need to discuss with you regarding the 4-star promotion ceremony." She got straight to the point. I said with a grin, "Don't worry, I'll tell you what I've seen." "Thank you. There's something specific I want to confirm." "It's suspicious, I know. Between 3-star and 4-star, there's a significant gap in information. Tomorrow, what I will see will undoubtedly be distinctly different from the mysterious scenes I've witnessed before. The attitude of the heroes who have promoted to 4-star tends to change. Whether it's the content or the form, changes are definite." "It doesn't really matter. Frankly, whatever secrets this world holds are irrelevant to me. My goal is to climb to the top of the tower and return to Earth. After all, I'm not a resident of this place. As long as I do my job right, nothing else should matter. But still, it would be better to know. Who knows? How it might be helpful." It's going to get a bit busier. Learning the reason for his summoning and the truths of Townstonia might throw them into some confusion. Not just Jenna and Velkist, soon Edis, as well as Rain and Mayen, and the other heroes will likely be promoted to 4-star. Their perception of being summoned from unknown places for unknown reasons to fight will change. You won't forgive, huh? Suddenly, the glare of the knight who had looked at me with bloodshot eyes came to mind. What did a dead person do, after all? I chuckled bitterly as I entered my room.
Chapter 172. The Following Evening. I sat on a bench in the 2nd-floor plaza. Heroes passing by glanced at me with curious eyes, but I didn't mind. I wonder when they'll come. Next to me, Iselle fluttered her wings anxiously. In her hand, she held a rainbow-colored stone. Around her forehead was a white band that read, "Wishing for success." It must not fail, not fail, not fail. Iselle tightly closed her eyes. Why are you so frantic? I looked up. In the sky, a dark shadow loomed like a cloud. There's a chance of failure. The likelihood is low, less than 1%, even if I'm being generous, but the possibility undeniably exists. Don't worry, it will definitely succeed. But it's only the inept who fail. A hero who has grown normally cannot fail. Welcome to Pick Me Up. A notification from anything popped up. He logged in at precisely the same time every day. I liked that. Loading is complete. Touch, choose. New World Raid. Prepare for the 7th season. Don't miss it. Fun is great. Rewards are even better. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been waiting a long time. The Festival of All Masters is about to begin.
Especially this festa, there are enormous rewards that any master would drool over. Shall I tell you? Rainbow-colored stones for S-rank engravings and 5-star? Ahem, that's all for now. A second announcement will be released soon. Please check there for more details. 7th Festa Anniversary Package Sale. Compensation for frequent server errors. It's already the 7th season. Well, it's still a long way off from starting. Right now, there are more urgent things. The announcements can wait. Anything skipped the notices and entered the main screen. Master, there is a hero awaiting promotion. Possible heroes for promotion. Han, 3 stars. Jenna, 3 stars. Velkist, 3 stars. A green notification window popped up at the bottom of the screen. Anything immediately entered the hero box. A list of his heroes appeared in quick succession. Here we go. Izel shivered as struck by lightning. Master, the promotion begins. Target hero, Han, 3 stars. The hero will be promoted to 4 stars. The promotion has a low probability of failure, and if it fails, the hero will fall into a corrupted state. Would you like to proceed? Yes? No? Tips. From 4 stars, there is a chance of failure. Heroes who fail the promotion become corrupted, and in this state, they lose their reason and go berserk. Anything hesitated for a moment, clearly unsettled by the warning. Naturally, a corrupted hero is unusable. There's no choice but to discard them. I looked at anything who was hesitating and thought strongly, do it. The leader of the first party, Han, 3 stars, requests promotion. And then, yes. Thud. The door to the synthesis room opened. Inside was the promotion chamber. I stood up, taking the promotion stone that Izel handed me with trembling hands. Izel clenched her fists as she looked at me. Fighting, you can't lose. Thank you. I smirked, and headed towards the synthesis room. Jenna and Velkist should have been here too, but we could only make one. Even though it was a 50% chance, it had failed more than 10 times. Only one promotion stone was made. What can we do? We have to gather more. The other members of the first party were currently rolling in the daily dungeons. I'd have to share my experience after it was over. I placed the rainbow-colored stone on the altar in the promotion chamber. Threads of magical power like spiderwebs sprouted from the altar, wrapping around the stone. Simultaneously, the magic circle below began to glow purple. It begins. Vroom. I looked down at my belt. Bifrost, in its sheath, was vibrating. Before I could wonder, a flash of light burst from the magic circle and enveloped me. When I opened my eyes again, Dimension 0000, Taunia. Just as I thought, I was thrown into a strange space. First, I looked up. The pale violet sky. Huge pieces of glass slowly rotated and floated around. Beyond that, the scenery was covered in darkness. I lowered my gaze and narrowed my eyes. An impressively large palace stood ahead, with a tower stretching up to the sky beside it. Where is this now? Nearby there was a garden full of nameless flowers and stone walls, no people in sight. Empty. Crackle, crack. With a noise, letters carved themselves into the air. Floor 0. MSIG, percent, type, Mokmok, email protected. Is this a joke? I couldn't understand the letters. The only thing I could read was floor 0 at the top. Floor 0? Of course, there's no such thing as a floor 0 in Pick Me Up. What this meant, I would have to find out by going to the end. I followed the marble path leading to the grand doors of the palace. Where is this place? It was obvious this was no ordinary place. The air was as cold as a freezer, and the surrounding scenery was desaturated, as if the saturation had been lowered. As I neared the grand doors, A large sign hanging above caught my eye. I read the jeweled letters on the sign. Ragnarsar's Palace, throne for the Master of Gold. Priya's face came to mind. Was this where the Emperor of the Empire stayed? I pushed the gold and silver decorated grand doors. Creak. With an old metallic sound, the doors began to open. Bang! As I entered, the doors closed behind me. I pushed slightly, but they didn't move. They seemed locked. The space inside was endlessly vast. On both sides were marble pillars, and a red carpet led to the center. The Golden Court. A message kindly informed me. This was where the Emperor stayed. I had always wanted to see his face. I followed the carpet. How long had I walked? Squeak! 458 human knights. Level unknown. From beyond the left pillar, a group of goblins with green skin huddled together. Goblins I'd grown tired of encountering on the lower floors. Why are they here? They were monsters. I tilted my head as I passed. Ogres. Level unknown. Lizardmen. Level unknown. Beastmen warriors. Level unknown. Cult army soldiers. Level unknown. Cult army knights. Level unknown. Water dragons, mature form. Level unknown. To the left and right of the carpet, monsters I had faced before and would have to face in the future were lined up. Their numbers were obscured by fog. Dozens of different types of monsters, humans, small species, large species, beastmen, birdmen, fishmen, as if at a fair, countless kinds of monsters were arrayed. Grrr, grrr, screech, growl. The sound of their cries was painful to the ears. I frowned and continued walking. I didn't understand the meaning. These were enemies of humans. Why were they gathered here so closely? If I could understand why, they're scared. It was know-how gained from fighting various monsters. The cause was unknown, but they were scared. It was suffocating. I firmly stepped on the carpet as I advanced. How many minutes had I walked?
An ornate throne decorated with gold at the end of the red carpet caught my eye. The golden throne was empty, but at the large table in front of it, various humans were gathered. I scrutinized the man sitting at the head of the table. Draped in a golden fur coat, wearing a silver crown, with dazzling golden hair and eyes, his handsome face could have been sculpted. The young man caught my eye but looked away, as if he couldn't see me. Then he moved his pale lips. Has everyone gathered? The Asinis family hasn't arrived, said the man seated to the young man's left. He wore a lavishly embroidered red coat. Head of the Halkian family. Ricardo von Helgireff. Level unknown. Huh, that guy. I vaguely remembered his identity. The boss of the 20th floor, the Black Dragon. Surely this was his human form. I hadn't actually encountered him for more than a minute, but his appearance was clearly etched in my memory. I quickly scanned the table. Head of the Halkian family. Head of the Schuttenberg family. Head of the Lantia family. Why didn't the Asinis come? They were definitely called. At the young man's words, a woman in navy robe narrowed her eyes. They say they will fight to the end. To the end? Wouldn't it be better to be together? This is why we had this banquet. If you order it, even by force, it's fine. If death on the battlefield is their pride, let's respect that. The young man smiled gently. His golden eyes scanned the table once, to the three family heads and beyond to the figures sitting further away. Guardians of the continent. The young man continued, almost singing. Thank you for your hard work so far. Your efforts will not be forgotten. Once we spilled blood gambling on the fate of each race, but this time, just this time, we were able to be one.
I express my gratitude." The young man bowed his head. "KKK, shining human, it was fun fighting together." Master of Arcane. Kurushak, level unknown. "I'm sorry. If my masterpiece had been a bit stronger, things might have been different." "No, your inventions were truly terrifying." "Oh, thank you for acknowledging." The lizard man bared his teeth and smiled. "That guy, the 30th floor, the one who controlled the giant golem." "I never thought I would fight on land in my life, but it was a pleasant experience, stimulating for my long life. I also thank the tribe of the water dragon." "Hey, we're going anyway." The white-haired old man laughed heartily. Water dragon god. Katart, level unknown. What? King of the water. Kiadni, level unknown. A middle-aged man with tiger ears waved his striped tail. He bared his fangs and smiled broadly. "We fought a lot. It was fun." "Thank you." This time the young man's gaze moved to the corner of the table. A group in wide robes and silver armor stood there. A winged cross, symbol on a silver background. I had seen it several times. It was the symbol of the goddess church. Blind Saint, Irene, level unknown. Third commander of the cult army, Iron Blood Valentian, level unknown. Elite knight of the cult army, Silver Flash of Versace, level unknown. The church also did a great job. Although we did not receive the help of the goddess, your faith allowed us to maintain our pride to the end. "It's nothing. I'm just sorry." The girl in a white robe smiled with her eyes closed. "Thank you to the cult army and the knights as well. I will not forget." The knights all bowed their heads to the young man. "Now, this is our last banquet. Our townia, until now, has been divided by different races and ideologies, shedding countless blood. But this time, just this time, we were able to be one. Ultimately, we have lost. Now our homeland will burn, and we will fade into the dark old pages of history. Or Townia itself might disappear. But we did our best." The young man raised his golden cup. I smiled. Now I seemed to understand where this place was and what it was trying to show me. The past. Before Pick Me Up was created. The scene just before the destruction of Townia. And while everyone here wore satisfied smiles, there was one, a girl, holding back tears, unable to contain her anger, biting her lip. Second in line for the throne, Priasis al Ragnar, level unknown.
Chapter 173. She was crouched in the corner of the table. Her slender silver hair, adorned with a golden crown, flowed over a silvery white gown. I narrowed my eyes. I had seen her several times before. There was no way I could mistake her. Just days ago, we had faced each other directly. Priya. Yet her appearance now felt strangely unfamiliar. Tears welled in her golden eyes, and she bit her lip hard enough to draw blood. What could be causing her such grief? I sighed and settled into an empty seat. Crossing my legs, I slowly looked around. Even though we have been defeated, I do not regret it. Everyone did their best and did what they could. We were united beyond class and racial differences and fought as one. The young man's speech continued, moving several at the table to tears. A groan escaped from Priya's lips. I shifted my gaze across the table. Behind the vacant throne stood a marble statue of twin goddesses, their hands clasped together. One of the faces was vivid in my memory. No. I snickered.
In truth, it was obvious who it was. No need for predictions. The twin goddesses ruling over Taunia, as Nerissa had told me, Tel and Ikar. It was said the saintess received the oracle directly from the goddess. I crossed my arms. The goddess statue, which should have been just a decoration, now had eyes glowing red. Yet almost no one seemed to notice. Everyone was engrossed in the young man's speech. Thump. The entire palace shook violently. Stone debris from the ceiling smashed part of the table. "There's not much time left, it seems," the young man said with a bitter smile. The knight standing beside him spoke. "According to reports, within 1 hour they will storm the palace. That is all the time we have left. My apologies." "No, it's not your fault. We all did our best. Who can blame anyone?" the young man replied, comforting him. The knight bowed deeply in gratitude. At first glance, it was a heartwarming scene. "How disgusting!" A sinister voice, as if scratching the inside of my ears, echoed. I looked across the table, where previously there was no one. A shadow writhed and formed a shape. SSB-SAE Shao XAYMZ, level 999. "What do you think? Don't you agree?" A girl with ebony hair looked at me and smiled. She had a definite presence in the faint landscape. "It's been a while since I've seen you in person like this. You've come this far alive. Truly, you're the master I've chosen." Tel smiled softly. "Why did you come out? I hate seeing you." "I'm saddened. I barely managed to squeeze in time amid preparing for the event." "Go away, will you?" Tel gulped down a tar-like viscous liquid from a wineglass. "Isn't it disgusting, Loki? They lost, pathetically failed. But now they say they did their best. They have no regrets. They're just comforting themselves. Except for one, they're all trash, not worth saving." With a sensual motion, Tel stroked Priya's cheek, who remained crouched, seemingly feeling nothing. "Ha! Tel let out a chilling laugh, then dispersed into shadows. I leaned back in my chair as the young man continued speaking. "Does anyone have anything else to say? Anyone is fine. If you have something to say..." Priya raised her hand at the same moment. A loud rumble began. I gripped the sheath of my sword. The shaking soon subsided. "My precious sister, you too have worked hard. You have supported us wholeheartedly." "Your Highness," Priya spoke clearly, "I do not wish for it to end here." The atmosphere in the room tensed. Bang! "Everyone, listen!" Priya suddenly stood up and slammed the desk. "For such an ending, for such a conclusion did we fight, shedding blood and sweat. We did our best but lost. Are you satisfied with just this? Was this all that you sought to protect? Is this how you break in the face of crisis? Aren't you even angry?" Priya screamed as if in agony. The atmosphere, previously peaceful at the table, turned icy cold. The smiles vanished from everyone's faces. "Look at the faces of our kind behind you. They are scared. They are frightened. And you, who are supposed to lead, have you given up with your hands still free? Aren't you ashamed before your ancestors?" "This insolence! How dare you speak such nonsense, even if you are of golden lineage?" "Shut up!" Priya shouted. "I will not accept such an ending. To enjoy a banquet here and then just let it end. Ridiculous! Even now our warriors outside are shedding their blood." "So what do you propose, Your Highness?" The purple-robed sorceress laughed. Her name tag above her head read, "Head of Schuttenberg." "It's not that we are not upset, but nothing worked. In the end, this is how it turned out. What would Your Highness like to do? Rage and stomp around?"
I understand your Highness's heart too, but an unavoidable outcome has been reached. Sometimes we need to accept fate. That's the last pride left to us. But there is still one way. Priya spoke quietly, her gaze turning towards the lectern on the right side of the table. Saintess, has not an oracle from the goddess come down? I heard it contains a crucial clue to save the continent. Then why keep it a secret? The girl called the Saintess, wearing a white coat, remained silent. The female knight beside her spoke. Your Highness, the Saintess did not arbitrarily hide the oracle. You may be mistaken. Silver Flash Versace. Yesterday I personally sliced her in 2 halves. Priya hastened his hand. Truck attacks, I know. But no, it can't be. Priya shook her head at Versace's words. It's no mistake. I clearly heard it. The goddess offered us one chance, a chance to start everything over. Your Highness, what are you saying? Turn back time to a few years ago. A hint of an answer was slowly forming. The reason for showing this scene seemed clear, informing the heroes of the purpose of their mission. If that's the case, would the next heroes to be promoted see a similar scene? It was natural for their attitude to change after their promotion. Of course, it was still too early to judge. There were still unanswered questions. Turn back time. The sorceress's eyes narrowed. Priya looked around at those present and continued. If we go back, a different outcome might be possible. Isn't it too regrettable to sit down without knowing anything, not even knowing the identity of the enemy? I can't accept it. Even if there's a very low chance, shouldn't we try every possible method? Is that true? The eyes of the Beast King narrowed towards the Saintess. The Saintess sighed deeply. Yes, the goddess did give such an oracle. Why did you hide it? That is... The Saintess's complexion turned pale. Just as her lips were about to open again, noise blurred the vision, but it cleared within a few seconds, and the Saintess spoke. Even if we start over, will the outcome change? Her voice was low. Wouldn't it be better to end it here? Her tone dropped even further. All races of Taunia united, yet we couldn't win even once, and you suggest going back. No one contradicted her. Even the young man at the head of the table closed his eyes quietly.
We're tired. I think it is better to end it here. A heavy atmosphere settled. I nodded, summarizing the flow of the conversation. These were the guardians who tried to protect Taunia. Humans, monsters, regardless of race, they had gathered here. They had all joined forces to fight, but it seems they were utterly defeated. And now, facing annihilation, they gathered to await death. It made sense, no major discrepancies. If a 3-star hero were here to observe, anyone would nod in agreement. It had been said earlier, it was disgusting. I smirked. It was true. Judging only by the current scene, they were scared. Cowards. Priya, I muttered. Flames sparked in her golden eyes. We can't win. We end it like this? Don't make me laugh. Are you kidding me? Your kin are watching. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Priya kicked her chair and stood up, her face flushed red as jade. I once thought you were true heroes. It seems I was mistaken. You were cowards. There's no greater cowardice. Aren't you ashamed? You should be embarrassed. Shing! Priya drew her sword. Why is no one standing with me? Even if there's a very low chance, even a slim possibility, if there's a method, shouldn't we try it? Why is no one speaking? No one opened their mouth. I will do it. I will do it. 100 times, 1,000 times, I'll go back and change it. Even if my body breaks and tears, if it can save my people, I'll do it. Whoosh! A hero, if ever there was one. Priya's eyes blazed as she stared at the goddess statue behind the throne. Her silver sword blade pointed at the goddess. Goddess, if you are watching, respond. I, Priasis Al Ragnar, will accept the offer.
If no one else will go, I will go back even if I'm alone. Whoosh. The twin goddess statue began to shake, creak. The lips of the marble goddess parted, and a mystical voice flowed out. Golden air, Priosis. It wasn't the grating voice from before. It was as clean as a breeze skimming through a forest. Your cry has been heard, and the contract has been established. Let them. Priya looked around the table with a cold expression. Give them an end befitting their measure. Wait, Your Highness, what are you saying? Creak. The twin goddess' face turned towards the table. Both pairs of eyes flashed red. Oh! A man clutched his chest and collapsed, groaning in agony before spitting out dark red blood. Starting with him, those who had not voiced any objection during Priya's outcry began to collapse one by one, vomiting blood. Priya! Priya! The blond young man cried out, but Priya did not open her eyes. And then, rumble! The entire palace began to shake. One by one, the pillars fell and smashed, and parts of the ceiling crashed down. The harbinger of collapse, the palace was about to fall. Take the challenge. Arise. Conquer your destiny. The golden throne is yours. As the goddess sang, the palace crumbled. So it has come to this. Indeed, they're all cowards. Cowards. Priya's words were fitting. They couldn't be called heroes. A few questions were answered. Why Priya was appointed the main focus in most missions. To put it bluntly, Taunia revolves around this woman. The heroes who went through this promotion ceremony would understand the reason they were fighting and would be inspired to do the missions. A very exemplary way to boost morale. Right. If this is the truth, I looked up and laughed. Hey! Bifrost was shaking wildly. Stop the nonsense. Just before everything was buried, I drew my sword. Dark light flashed from the blade. Urnit called this sword a manifestation of infinite possibilities, a crystal of interference. That seems about right. Give it to me. Such a petty play is unnecessary. Bring it on, the real thing. Whoosh! I gripped the blazing dark Bifrost tightly, took position, and slashed down. Clang! The barrier in front of me shattered like glass, scattering in all directions.
Chapter 174. I sheathed my sword. The vibrations from Bifrost had faded, and the black flames that once enveloped the blade had disappeared. I widened my eyes and looked ahead. The palace, which had been in ruins, now appeared untouched, as if nothing had happened. The table's layout was unchanged. The blond young man at the head, the chieftains and leaders of various races, the cult's officers, and even Priya in the corner. Everything was perfectly aligned. Yet an unresolved question lingered, a scene I had just witnessed that defied explanation. Above all, my instincts, sharpened by countless brushes with death, screamed in warning. It was too calm, too peaceful for someone who had been betrayed as often as I had. The noise clouding my vision faded. I sat down in the empty chair at the table once again. I will not accept such an ending. Let's see how the situation unfolds. Priya stood up abruptly, her voice filled with passion as she protested. To enjoy a banquet together and then just let it end? That's absurd. Our warriors are still shedding their blood outside. So, what do you propose we do, Your Highness? This part seems familiar. It hasn't changed much. That's as far as it goes. I listened to the conversation that followed, my hand resting on the table. The flow of the argument was no different from what I had just seen. Priya was furious, and both the sorceress and the old knight tried to calm her, suggesting they must accept the situation since no other option remained. Then Priya spoke again. "There is one more way left." Priya's gaze shifted to the Saintist. "Saintist, hasn't the goddess sent an oracle? I heard it contains a crucial clue to saving the continent. Then why keep it a secret?" I scrutinized the Saintist, seated to the left of the table, a young girl in a white robe with the church's insignia, draped in a lavender cape. Her expression was calm, belying her youth. The conversation continued in a familiar pattern. The Saintist insisted she wasn't hiding the oracle, the knight countered, and Priya pressed on. "You're mistaken. I clearly heard it. The goddess has given us one chance, a chance to start over." "Princess, what do you mean?" "To turn back time, to go back several years into the past." To turn back time. If we could return to that moment, maybe a different outcome would be possible. Isn't it too sad to sit here resigned, not knowing anything, not even the identity of our enemy? I can't accept it. Even if the chance is slim, shouldn't we try? Is that true? The goddess did indeed send such a prophecy? Why did you hide it? This is where it starts. I took a deep breath. Priya. But the next person to speak wasn't the Saintist. It was the young man at the head. Priya glared at him. "Your Highness, did you know about this as well?" I knew. "Then why? Do you understand what we would have to give up?" "Of course I do." "If it were truly possible to save our people in the continent, would I have hesitated? Answer me. Do I seem that insignificant to you? But the prophecy is true. We were indeed given the option to turn back time." The young man's face was etched with distress. "For one chance, would you push all life on the continent into the abyss of hell?" "What do you mean?" "Princess, there's a price to pay." The Saintess shook her head. "Our goddess is not an omnipotent creator. To perform a miracle, sacrifices and restrictions are necessary." I saw it. The Saintist bit her lip. "Becoming someone's pawn, trapped in endless suffering, neither dead nor alive. The whole continent would be torn apart, and both past and future would lose their meaning. We'd become mere slaves. That is, to be trapped as a pawn, neither dead nor alive, to suffer endlessly, losing all meaning of past and future. I remembered the monsters trapped in the tower. They revived no matter how many times they were killed, serving as fodder for heroes' experience. In a way, the heroes were no different. Ultimately, whether monster or hero, we were just toys for the master. It's just a game, after all." "Priya." The young man looked at Priya with a gentle expression. "I understand you. I do. How could I not be angry? After all the blood and sweat we've poured in, to end it like this, how could we simply accept it?" He closed his eyes. "Nothing is eternal. Not humans, not other races, not empires, not even this continent or the universe itself. Everything that begins must end. It just so happens that the end has come to us. For a moment of self-satisfaction, let's not gamble everything." Priya said nothing. Her expression twisted as she sat down again, bowing her head deeply. "Is this how it ends?" A sobbing voice emerged. "The people of the empire, the lives of other races, our children. Who could possibly accept that, Princess?" The old sage next to the young man spoke. His name tag read, "Head of Lantia." "If it were possible, I would wish to save them. But if we resort to such actions, what would become of the many heroes who have sacrificed their lives for the continent? We may have lost the war, but not our pride. This pride is all we can take with us. Moreover, Your Royal Highness, speak. This isn't the end, is it? The young man grinned. Of course, we still have our pride. We must strike one last blow. The young man stood, his golden coat fluttering. Let it be known that we once existed here, that we lived each day fiercely, and that we did not lose our pride even in death. Are you all with me? Are you ready to die with our beloved Townia? To the very end. The three chieftains knelt together. The church's saints and knights bowed deeply. The leaders of the various races laughed heartily. What better death could there be? After all, we will all die someday. Would you rather die as a shriveled old man in a corner room, or as a hero who will be remembered in history? Answer me, humans, you beings of other races. Will you die in fear, or will you die with pride? The atmosphere shifted dramatically. The faces of the humans and monsters near the table, who had been trembling in fear, began to change. The goblins drew their daggers, the ogres gripped their axes, the human knights unsheathed their spears, and the lizard men waved their staffs. Do not fear, I will be the first to die. I will pave a glorious path to the afterlife for the heroes. Thump. As the young man finished speaking, the entire palace shook violently. Persephone, the sorceress, bowed to the young man.
The Essenes knights have just been annihilated. Our turn is next. Prepare. The meeting ended. The previously quiet palace was now filled with various sounds. Soldiers and monsters checked their weapons and armor. Knights soothed their horses and formed assault formations. Mages refined their spells, and priests bestowed blessings on the warriors. So this is how it ends. These people were not the cowards the fake Priya had claimed them to be. There were no tremblers among them. Their eyes all sparkled with resolve. My dear sister Priya. In the midst of the preparations for battle, the young man approached Priya, who was crouched in a corner by the table. Priya sat there, trembling. I'm sorry I couldn't resolve your grievances. No, Your Highness. We've come this far and you still call me Your Highness? It's too formal. Call me brother. That is, even now, at the end, will you still call me Your Highness? Then, brother. Much better. The young man grinned. He looked at Priya's tear-stained face, then gently embraced her shoulders. If I weren't in this position, I'd feel the same as you. Honestly, I don't care about pride. If it was possible to save everyone, to get a chance, I'd even sell my soul to a devil. But I can't do that. You understand, right? Yes. The young man glanced around playfully to make sure no one was watching, then whispered in Priya's ear. If you can't shake off your anger in the end, it's okay to accept the proposal. What? I'll always support you. What are you saying? Your Highness, I have something to report. I'll be right there. The young man smiled at the puzzled Priya before following his aide. Left alone, Priya wore a dazed expression as she watched the young man's retreating figure. Not much time left. The vibrations of the palace grew more intense. The grand doors leading outside began to rattle ominously. A noble last stand followed by a glorious end. It was the sort of dramatic episode that would commonly feature in a movie. I sat back in my chair, waiting for the end of the banquet to approach. He would have been a better protagonist. I mused that if this young man had been the main NPC in Townia, the story might have progressed more smoothly. I grumbled, not quite complaining, as I observed Priya. Tears still clung to her golden eyes as she sobbed. She was sold out as a witch, a traitor. I recalled the various accusations and curses hurled at Priya. From what I could see, she hadn't truly betrayed anyone. The commanding aura she once had was gone. Now only the image of a vulnerable girl remained. She seemed to have given up. If he was really the protagonist,
I looked at the young man. I had heard about him before. He was the second in line for the throne, the true heir apparent. Your Highness, stop! I won't mention the goddess's prophecy anymore. Several people approached Priya, but she merely stared blankly before closing her mouth. Was Priya considering following the young man? She was also carrying a sword. And then the moment came. The young man, clad in armor, stood in the center of the red carpet. Around him, a motley crew of various races and genders stood, their eyes fiercely shining. The young man drew his sword with a cold gaze. This is our final battle. Let's show a dignified end. No one spoke. They simply raised their weapons. Priya was among them. Thank you for enduring, he whispered, as if to Priya. Priya closed her eyes silently. Thump, thump, thump. The palace's silver gates began to shake. Stones and wooden splinters flew as parts of the door buckled under force. The young man raised his sword. This is our final battle. Whoa! Townia's forces, charge! Before the young man could thrust his sword forward, boom! The statue of the goddess behind the throne unexpectedly shattered. Amidst a cloud of dust, a shadow appeared. I sighed. Of course, if this truly was the end, if it had ended here, the game wouldn't even have started. I wouldn't be suffering in this world. The last battle. A chilling voice spread throughout the palace. A grating, spine-chilling tone. I recognized this voice. It still echoed deeply in my mind. Who said so? The figure laughed.
Chapter 175. The girl slowly walked toward the gathering crowd. Each step of her small, bare white feet made the massive shadow behind her waver. The shadow, swallowing the surrounding light, billowed in deep black. Nothing but fools and ignorance all around, the girl smirked. Heroes, you say. Even when given a chance to redeem yourselves, you throw it away. How utterly foolish. Or are you scared? Either way, it's pitiful. What are you? How rude. A knight drew his sword and stepped forward. The girl snickered and reached out her hand toward him. Ah! As she clenched her fist, the knight was crushed. Fragments of armor and splatters of blood and flesh scattering. She dusted off her hands and laughed. A dog that doesn't recognize its master doesn't deserve life, don't you think? The saintess murmured quietly, "Oh, goddess, yes, I am your master." Members of the church knelt at once. The girl looked down at the saintess, her expression full of displeasure. I clearly gave an oracle. Why act on your own? No excuse is needed. Are you really my apostles? You only use me when it's convenient, but turn your backs when I truly need you. She glanced over the hero standing stiffly. I, Tell, made it clear. I gave you all a chance to start over, and you dare refuse? There's a limit to shamelessness. We are thankful for the grace bestowed by the goddess. However, we wish for the end that we want. Please grant us that. The saintess bowed her head to the ground. At the same time, the clerics and paladins also bowed. Tell grabbed her forehead and burst out laughing, a laugh that grated on everyone's nerves. Since when did dogs begin to object to their master's commands? We are not dogs. Your words, the air you breathe, the bread and meat you eat, the ground you stand on, even down to each hair and soul, are all mine, all just my playthings. You wish to die with dignity? Who gave you the right? Tel stepped on the Saintess's head. The Saintess did not move. This is not the end of Tuania, right? Tel smirked and looked at Priya. Priya flinched silently. Step aside. The smile vanished from Tel's lips. A young man clad in golden coat stepped forward. The goddess has indeed granted us grace, but the right to decide our fate lies with us. You speak too boldly. Return from where you came. Let us meet a proper end. Tel glared at the young man. Impudent. I am of a golden lineage that dates back to the dawn of the empire. I believe I have the right to speak to the goddess in such a manner. A monstrous hybrid, aren't you? As soon as Tel uttered hybrid, weapons were pointed from all around. Tel smirked. You stopped worshipping me, and now this defiance? The goddess has changed completely. I do not know what happened, but I will no longer tolerate this tyranny. I sat in the chair, crossing my legs. I had already predicted that the one who brought me here was the Mobius director and goddess, given the many hints. However, this development was unexpected. Were they adversaries? Given the goddess's actions, she did not seem omnipotent. If she were truly infinite, she could simply reverse the world with her powers. No need for an oracle or consent. A price must be paid for miracles. Just as she used Earth to twist Mobius's space-time. What then is the price for this descent? Only one thing. I turned to Priya. Once a hero, now turned into a witch, the reason these spirits curse and resent Priya. I sighed. You won't tolerate it? That's right. Return. Tel sneered coldly. Sorry, but the contract has already been signed. Aren't you curious how that child knew about the oracle? Tel pointed at Priya. Priya trembled and shouted, What are you talking about? I never made a contract with you. She told me she wanted to do it again, even if it meant risking herself and everything around her. Priya's face filled with confusion. Everyone's gaze turned to her. No, I never said that. I don't even know this woman. She told me she wanted to do it again, even if it meant risking herself and everything around her. Tel's lips curled into a cold smile. I, the goddess of purity, Tel, declare upon my soul that this is the absolute truth. Don't lie. Are you saying you don't want it? If I go against this declaration, I may disappear forever, and you will never get this chance again. Don't you understand? Wait. Priya stumbled back. Did something like this happen? Yes, you've sold them out. Priya stumbled back again. Did something like this happen? Yes, you've sold them out. Tel chuckled and raised her left hand. From her hand, a thick shadow began to unravel. You who have forsaken the challenge have no right to be heroes. Become a sacrifice for the true heroes. What are you saying? The game needs an enemy. Be the experience points. Tel spread her hand. There was no time to scream. The semi-transparent shadow swallowed everything, human or beast, and squirmed. Except for Priya. You have been chosen as the protagonist of Tuania. You can be proud. No, There are hardly any viable hero candidates left. This world is ruined anyway. It's so tiresome. Cough, choke, gasp. Those swallowed by the shadow vomited copious amounts of blood, tar like black blood. Dark red veins sprouted on their skin. Is this contamination? Gurgling.
The jelly-like shadow spread toward me, climbing up from beneath my feet. Danger. Han 3 stars is beginning to be contaminated. I sneered and stomped the shadow with my sheath. Crack. Black blood burst, and the shadow retreated. Contaminated state. It seems the true heroes handle it this way. The cause of the enhancement failure. I felt disgusted. I grimaced and looked ahead. The two were still talking. If you're a hero, you should be able to throw everything aside for your goals. Right, Priasis? No, don't lie. Priya cried out, shaking her head. Her neat face was a mess with tear marks. Admit it, you sold them out. Lies! It's not a lie. Tel grinned innocently and approached Priya and whispered in her ear, You said so in your dreams. Wait, that... Priya sat down in despair. You formed a contract based on words in a dream? Crack. I stomped on the creeping shadow again. It seems this place is also falling apart. A portal shaped like an ellipse flickered in the distance. Let's see. Tel sat down next to the seated Priya and pulled out a ledger. Tuwania. There is only 1 5-star and 3 4-star candidates for high-ranking heroes. Pretty lame. Some hybrid bastard stirred up trouble. It's doomed here too. Tel flipped through the ledger expressionless, recording something while her glaze drifted elsewhere. The young man, being consumed by the shadow, glared at Tel, half kneeling. You should have accepted it. If you had made a contract with me, the potential would have been much higher than with this moron. Tel kicked the fallen Priya. The young man opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Tel smirked. Do you resent me? Then become strong, fight against the heroes, become the greatest enemy and swallow the world. It seems like the limit has been reached. The shadows were gathering in droves.
I walked toward the portal. Crunch. The palace was collapsing. The debris of a broken pillar blocked the way. I lightly jumped over and walked toward the portal. Well, there's still much that's unknown. What I've seen here is just part of the truth. But there's more than 1 or 2 filthy things, enough to make me feel nauseous. I continued walking toward the portal. The surrounding scenery became blurry and started to twist. Tel, Priya, and those swallowed by the shadow disappeared one by one. It was the end of this world. Whoosh. A blood-red sandstorm brushed against my cheeks. I narrowed my eyes. The surroundings had transformed into a desert, a dark desert with swirling red mist. Floor 80. Beyond the horizon of the desert, someone was standing. The figure, clad in a pitch-black cape, glared at me. Hidden behind the mist, blood-red eyes sparkled. Black Prince. Prios El Ragnar. The sparkling blonde hair was now covered in a sticky black substance. A glimpse of skin under the cape was tightly wrapped in blood-red bandages, like a mummy. The golden irises had lost their radiance long ago. A sinister aura hovered in the dim gaze. Are you the boss? The 80th floor of Tonia. We'll meet soon. Slowly, a level appeared below the name tag. Level 354. A bitter smile slipped out. The estimated level range was in the mid-300s, comparable to 7-star heroes. The 80th floor, where real hell begins.
If the difficulty is similar to Niflheim, I had anticipated this much. I continued walking through the blood-red mist. Sorry, but I won't consider your circumstances. If anyone stands in my way, they're just obstacles to be crushed. Waiting. Waiting. A ghost-like voice flowed from his bandage-wrapped mouth. I looked back at him. Yes, wait. I'll make it easy for you soon. In front of me, the portal swayed. I glanced back at him, then stepped through the portal. A chilly sensation ran through my body. Badum. Congratulations, Master! The forgotten memories of the hero awaken. Han, 4 stars, promotion completed. You have become a 4-star. Illustration is updated. Level and skill limits have increased. The hero's first engraving is unlocked. Tips. What is an engraving? It's a special ability that heroes can acquire through the Descent Dungeon, a must for becoming a superior hero. A well-crafted engraving is nothing to scoff at compared to 10 skills. Don't forget to grant your hero an engraving. When I opened my eyes, the red magic circle of the promotion place entered my view. A slight headache echoed in my head. I gripped my forehead and walked out to the square. Ah, Oppa, congratulations! Jenna ran up to me. It seemed she had been waiting since I entered the promotion place. Now you're a 4-star too. No one can look down on you. Anyway, anyone who messes with you is going down in 1 hit. Oppa? Jenna blinked and looked at me. What's wrong? You look scary, like you could kill someone. Kill? What kind of thing is that to say? I smirked and walked toward the stairs. Jenna followed me at a trot. Next, it's your turn. Get ready. From an experienced person, is there something to prepare for a 4-star promotion? I heard you could fail. That's... Bang! I punched the wall. Jenna jumped back, startled. Oppa? There was a bug. I continued up the stairs. From where I punched, a hologram window flickered. Caution, GM exclusive line. Unread chat messages available. There's nothing to negotiate with you.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.